when you were talking after the Lakers games in your press conferences, and obviously, people didn't really want to talk about you guys. People didn't really want to talk about what Jokic was doing. And Pat mentioned earlier, the prime time really wasn't built up for the Nuggets. And even after you swept the Lakers, there was different conversations, and that's neither here nor there. But they weren't talking about the Nuggets sweeping, LeBron and the Lakers. Do you think now that you guys have, put Denver on the map with the championship, being that first team since 1979 to win outside of Texas and California, do you think now people will, not only respect the Nuggets, but will look at the Denver Nuggets as
Hey, I'm
that
doing
team?
it.
Yeah, like the team in the West now?
Hell yeah.
Well, a really good question. And speaking of the Lakers, I just want you guys to know this is breaking news. I'm thinking about retiring, so don't tell anybody.
You love that, Coach. You love
Yes!
Coach, let's take the conversation away from the championship. Let's talk about the coach retiring.
Yes.
Hey, you hated it, huh? Okay, good. I'm happy to hear
good.
that. All right, you're a human.
Only kidding.
Oh my goodness. Oh, welcome, Chris Williamson. Welcome to the show. Emmy-nominated sportscaster and personality. I got to be on my best game today. I'm with a Emmy-nominated sportscaster. How are you doing, Chris? Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you, and I'm just honored to be here because your greatness personified, with how you operate and everything that you do. So, yeah, I'm just blessed, and that Mike Malone thing, petty season is in order.
Yes. Well, Mike Malone is also very blessed, and the Denver Nuggets, I gotta just tell you, Michael, let me actually say Michael, because he's very clear. He does not want us calling him Mike. So Michael Malone is just, he's hilarious. But he just talks, whether you want to say he's talking his ish or whatever, but throughout this postseason, he's been talking, and then he has the video, and it was a very funny way to kind of say, okay, LeBron, we know what you were doing. But I like that he did it. He says he's joking, but we all know there's a little truth in every joke. And I remember after that, we were all talking about LeBron's retirement. And even though we were LeBron's a genius because he diverted the attention away from the Lakers getting swept, us in the media, we still kept talking about it, despite the fact that we sort of knew what he was doing, because no one believed LeBron was retiring, right?
No, nobody did that. And he didn't even, there wasn't, correct me if I'm wrong, but there wasn't even a direct question that would lead him to answer that. He took a question that was vague, and he decided, okay, here's what I'm going to talk about, as he does, and that's his right. But yeah, people ran with it. I remember the SportsCenter crew after the game, they were like, yeah, the Nuggets, they win the Western Conference Finals, but that might be a subplot because LeBron might be retiring. Bro, he sucked you in. LeBron did it again. He sucked you in just like he does every single time he's opened his mouth.
And we will not let him do that today, because today is about the Denver Nuggets. They are celebrating their parade. I don't know if it's officially ended, but I was watching. I had it on in the background, and, they're rolling through the streets, and the crowd is, chanting MVP, for Jokic, and it looks festive the way parades are. I saw Jamal Murray out there. He was, signing autographs, and look at that. I mean, their first parade in their city. It's amazing. You have to appreciate that. Even if you're not a Denver Nuggets fan, even if you're not in the city, just look at that. It's amazing.
Right. That's gold. And then he hugs the fan. I wasn't expecting KCP to do that. And what's more interesting is the fact that I think he's making up for the fact that the Lakers didn't have a parade, after they won in 2020. So he's going all the way out. And the other thing that's really fun to see with these parades is just the pure joy and jubilation from the players, where they let everything down. They do not care. They're unapologetic selves. They don't have to be, buttoned up, tied up, professionals answering questions. I'm having a great time, and I'm gonna let y'all know, with all these beers that I'm smashing in my face, DeAndre Jordan is catching passes for people for the beers. It's a beautiful sight, even if it's not your team, right? you can still appreciate what that means for a city and for the players that have worked so hard to make it to that point.
Like you do like that. It's fun. It's always fun watching the parade. But I remember, and like, I'm not going to sit here because I'm not a lifelong Warriors fan, but I just remember like when the Warriors won their first in like just years, it had been years, so many decades. So it wasn't their first ever, but for many current generation Warriors fans, it was the first in a very, very long time. And that felt amazing. And it wasn't even the first. So the first title for the Denver Nuggets, right? The first title for the Denver Nuggets, like, that's amazing. And, the way everyone's been talking has been like, they're definitely guaranteed to get more, So there's been a lot of talk. There's been a lot of talk. They will be back. They're going to get back there. As a Warriors fan, I don't love hearing it, but it's their time right now. So I used to hate when we won and people would start talking about, oh, their path to get there. And, this is not a real this. And, so it's time to celebrate the Nuggets. We're going to give them their flowers. But people keep talking like they're going to get back there and they're destined. And, this is the beginning of the next dynasty. So, we'll see. I think usually when there's a finals run, teams react to it, right, around the league. So we'll see what happens. But they definitely are a contender, I believe, for years to come. And they're set up for that. And that starts first, with Jokic, right? I think many even before this finals run considered him the best player in the world, but that seems to be the consensus for many right now. And so it starts with Jokic, and he's the best player in the world. And we're here raving about him, Chris. And he's so nonchalant, what do you make of that?
It's so funny, Nat, because all my life growing up, watching MJ, Kobe, LeBron, some of these guys, it was basketball is the clear number one priority. Family comes second. And I think they've acknowledged that in some way, specifically with MJ and Kobe, rest in peace. Like, you're thinking you have to be obsessed with basketball to win at the highest level. So to see Jokic, act as if this is just a hobby that he's really good at, it's really refreshing to me, because you can be amazing at something, but it's not as he said, the main thing in his life. Like, the main things are his family and horse racing back in Serbia. And I think you don't have to put one over the other, but you can see the beauty in a superstar reacting differently, as if, he just took a trip to Walgreens, picking up groceries for his wife. And it's like, okay, yeah, it's good. We can go home now. The job is done. Like, who does that? Right?
Nikola Jokic does. Nikola Jokic does.
That's it.
He does. And, I appreciate hearing him say that. We know his family means everything to him. His wife, he wears like their wedding band. What is it, like on his sneaker, or he like puts it on? Yeah,
it's on his sneaker, on his shoelace.
Yeah. So, he does that. Look, first of all, let me just say, I always appreciate men giving love and shout outs and flowers to their wives. So shout out to you too, because I peeped in your feed. Wifey got a shout outs.
Yeah, all day. And I got the ring. Right here, baby.
That is not his middle finger, people. That's his ring finger.
Yeah.
Okay. So shout out to you and your amazing wife. I see that you'd always be sort of, shouting her out, posting some of your wedding stuff. You guys are newlyweds, so recently married.
Yes.
So I love that. You coming on the show and you're like, I'm still going to call my baby out. So good for you.
Come on, man. I'm going to gas her up. Yeah.
And we'll be talking later about people gassing up their wives, but Jokic, he wears his ring on his sneaker. He had his daughter at the celebration and she was like front and center. We always love that. He's not the first person to do that. Like, they always have the kid up there. She had on the little backwards hat. But, the media question asked to him right after is like, sort of like, how do you feel? And he's like, oh, great, the job's done. We can go home, And throughout this postseason, right, it's been questions about like, how do you feel about this triple double? Oh, you made history tonight with this person. And he's like, huh? What? Like, okay, yeah, I don't care. I'm just trying, and so he's very nonchalant. And I don't, first of all, I don't think he doesn't not care. So, but I think for some people, they don't know how to receive it. So some people love it, right? And then I think others, it's like, I don't know if it's off-putting the right word, but they don't know what to make of it because they're just used to NBA stars reacting differently.
Yes, and that's a great point because when you're so used to something and you see somebody divert from that path, it's a knee-jerk reaction where you're going to be like, I actually don't like that. Where I've seen on social media, the discussion has been in some part like players, superstars not respecting or caring about the game, which is the furthest thing from the truth, specifically with Nikola. If you watch the series, specifically the Phoenix series and this one, there are multiple incidents where Jokic is screaming, yelling with his teammates to get better, to adjust. You don't do that if you don't care about the game. You know what I'm saying? You have to put a lot of energy and time into that to have those type of reactions when you're at the precipice of winning an NBA title or advancing to the next round. So, yeah, and the other thing, Nat, I don't think you should be obsessed with your job, right? Or your passion. It shouldn't define you because then when it's gone, you're like lost. But if you have a healthy balance, and I think we've all experienced this at some point, at least for me, where it's I'm a sports journalist, sports broadcaster, and that's what I'm doing. That's who I am. But when you step back, like, no, I have so much more to offer to the world. And there's more meaning, like with my wife, my family, my friends, different experiences that I want to do just for free. So, right. Yeah, I'm all for it. But to say Jokic doesn't care about the game, that's just flat out disingenuous and not true. I just don't think he cares about the extra hoopla and attention around it. Like, I get paid lots of money to play basketball and I'm really good at it. And then I go home with my family, which is my true prize. And I go back to Serbia with my family and that's all good.
Yeah. And I mean, Serbia is his love. Riding horses is his love. His family, that's his love. And I can relate to that. I am born here, but my family is Jamaican and I spent a lot of time in Jamaica. And for me, whenever I go to Jamaica, I feel like I'm going home. If I'm away from there for too long, I don't feel right. Like I always have to make sure not too long passes before I go. Right. And I didn't even grow up there, but just because I spent so much time there and culturally, that's how I was raised in terms of family and people being around me, like I yearn to be around that. So I can only imagine not having grown up in this country. Right. And you're here. It's like he wants to be home. And I'm sure it's going to be an amazing. I wonder what they have buildings lit up for him. So I just wonder what it's going to be. I wonder if they're doing a parade for him. Who knows? But I mean, I'm sure, they have more than one, athlete in the country right now making moves. So I wonder how they're going to celebrate that. But it is refreshing, like you said. And right now it seems to be that people appreciate that from him. I wonder if the media is going to continue to appreciate it, though. And I only say that because we've heard them at times when there are players who say that, like there's other things more important, or, some in the media react negatively, like, oh no, you don't care about this. And the only thing I want to hear about this. And they start telling you Kobe and bringing up all these stories of other people. I'm like, okay, but that person isn't like this,
Right. They're not. And that you can't, punish them for being different. It's as if you have to be like the all-time greats, MJ and Kobe, their mentality, Mamba mentality, MJ, Stone Cold Killer. And if you're not, then you're not committed, when that's not true. And so I think, it's a great learning lesson for all of us to unlearn some of the problematic things that we've been told or sold by mainstream media. But the one thing I want to go back to is Jokic's wedding band on his shoe. The fact that he's never, at least to my knowledge, lost that thing, like it's not, his shoe hasn't gone untied. That might be more impressive. That might be his best accomplishment in the NBA, because the amount of time that my shoes untied when I play ball. I can't, it's countless times.
He's a man of many talents. He's a man of many, many talents.
Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget, you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.